what is your knowledge about an interface? What is an interface to you? Here I'm not talking about the interface and implementation, the header and the CPP file, but the technical term interface. Any idea what it is? Heard about it?
It's the meeting point of two things. Or how to configure two things to.
No.
Okay,
So no one has Java background. What was interface in Java? It's abstract. Okay. So the most important thing about interface is, or the idea, and we'll talk about it once we start doing inheritance. We have to wait till inheritance in C++ because in C++ the way the interface is implemented is using classes itself. In Java, there is classes and there is interface. They are different. But how it is implemented comes later. The idea is, what is an interface? What do I want? And I always use this example because I find it very easy to relate to. You use everybody has used a mouse, right? You could have 4 applications running. One could be a music program, you might be playing a game, you might be writing your paper, you might be writing your program, right? Everywhere, whichever program you are currently working on, you are using the mouse. On the mouse, what are things you do with the mouse? Left click, right click, double click with the left, double click on the right, or scroll, right? 5 functionalities. Does it change with any application? No, right? The same kind of functionality. Does a left click on one application do the same thing as a left click on the other application? No, right? So, if I am writing an application, right? Now I'm writing my own program, my own application. That will enable the use of a mouse with that. What do I have to do? I decide what will happen when a user does a left click or a right click, whether anything special will happen with a click and a drag, etc., etc., right? But can I create a new function called, I don't know, XYZ for the mouse? Oh, I can. So the use of mouse comes with an interface. So we say, if you are using a mouse, these are the functions that need to be implemented. So there is an interface called mouse, for example, or a mouse interface, which will specify the function prototypes. There should be a left click, a right click, a double click, a click and drag, a scroll. Can the mouse, so let's say first forget about the interface. Let's say I decide to create a class mouse interface. Can I implement these methods? Can the person who designed the mouse interface implement the methods? No. Because that will depend on the person who is using this interface. So instead of calling it a class, let me not use the term class. Instead of calling it a data type, a new data type, I'm going to call it an interface. Okay. So what is now this interface? This is a collection of behavior that will be specified later. It has a name now, it will be specified later. In Java, for example, or in many other languages, one of them being Java, this is called an interface. So instead of saying I'm defining a class, we use the keyword interface and we say interface, mouse interface, and what it means, you will only provide the function prototypes. You will not implement them. So can I create an object of type mouse interface? No, because I don't know the behavior. What can classes do? Classes can implement this interface. So if I'm creating an application called my app, the class my app will implement the mouse interface if I want to use the mouse. And what it means is I will provide the definitions of those functions. Okay, so what you are looking at is you can have, for example, in our example, a mouse interface, which is a collection of function prototypes which have not been implemented, and these could be implemented by many different classes. You know, a drawing application, a music application, a game application, whatever application, right? A gaming application. So the keyword that we use there is called implements. Okay, in C++, an interface is implemented using a class, but we make what we call the methods as pure virtual. What that means is we say, here is the prototype, but I'm not going to define it. Okay, so in C++, we will see later on, you will define a class mouse interface, and in it will be many functions like left click, for example, that will be equal to 0. That's the way we say pure virtual. It means here is the prototype. I am not the one who will specify the definition. I'm just designing an interface. But that's how an interface is designed in C++. What is the penalty a class has to pay to have pure virtual methods? I can never create an object of type mouse interface. So it's called an abstract class. So the way it is implemented in C++ is using abstract classes. But in this context, or in this lecture, or in this here, all I want you to know is what an interface is, and that different classes can implement interfaces. I don't expect you to know how they will be implemented. We'll do that part later on as we are going into inheritance and polymorphism and all those things. Okay? I will stop here. I will say use this as the inheritance and the hierarchy discussion as a preview to inheritance, and then next week we will go full-fledged, dive deeply into inheritance and polymorphism. Okay? And it will be all, not too much theory remaining. So we'll be doing a lot. So get everything done, midterm out, and then we will go into inheritance. Okay?